I've moved beyond your mission. I'm free.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel released a Visionquest trailer at the upfronts recently, so this will be my breakdown Easter eggs. There's a whole bunch of big reveals. Robert Downey Jr., Dr. Doom himself, as well as Loki, Tom Hiddleston were there with Paul Bettany to release the trailer footage. So there's a lot to unpack here because it is meant to be Marvel's real big live-action show ending this year, and the final episode is meant to release right before Avengers Doomsday comes out in theaters. White Vision would like to know if he's going to return in Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they had Robert Downey Jr. there in the first place, because this is meant to end right before Avengers Doomsday. I think some of the footage in the trailer was similar to the footage in the Comic-Con trailer last year. They made a couple of big reveals about James Spader coming back as Ultron. The older version of Tommy will appear on it finally. A bunch of Iron Man characters and technology AIs that he created during those movies will also be coming back too. I will be doing weekly episode videos for when it starts. It's releasing episodes in October, and like I said, the idea is the final episode releases in December, right before Avengers Doomsday comes out in theaters. This first big scene was of Vision looking like Mr. What's-It Vecna from Stranger Things. This is meant to be Paul Bettany from behind if you couldn't tell, walking up to a giant white mansion on a street here. In the way that Paul Bettany talked about it, this is a representation of his mind. That's why the house is white. It's meant to be White Vision. He's been given his original Vision memories again from Marvel Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. He is the original version of Vision, but he has none of his emotions. It is meant to be super trippy and weird, just like Wandavision, and it is the third part in a trilogy of Wandavision shows. Wandavision being the first part, Agatha All Along being the second part, and then this being the third and final part. And a big part of these episodes is Vision interacting with and searching his memories to regain a certain amount of humanity, so to speak, personality, emotion. And as you could tell from Paul Bettany looking like a human in this scene here inside his mind, the way they're visualizing that in episodes is a bunch of regular human characters interacting with each other, but these are all different Iron Man creations interacting with each other. Paul Bettany, best example as Vision, but he's in human form here. One of the other best examples of that is James Spader coming back as Ultron. He's going to be playing Ultron in human form, and he had a beard during the trailer.
He wants respect. He wants love. He wants to be younger. He wants to be attractive.
The way they talked about his character during the series is he'll be like the evil grandpa, so to speak, with Vision being the dad and Tommy being the young kid they're introducing. So there will be a lot of suitable family drama going on during this too, the way they play it, because Ultron is technically one of the fathers of Vision. I made the Stranger Things joke about Vision looking kind of like Mr. What's-It, but the representation here, the way they're visualizing this with the Mindspace house, is very similar to Henry Creel's house during Stranger Things, so there are some similarities with the way they're treating the Mindspace house situation of this. So if you remember those scenes of them inside Creel house with Henry Creel interacting with all the kids, it's going to be a little bit like that, but just imagine all Iron Man characters, all Iron Man's AIs interacting with each other. For those of you asking what happened to White Vision at the end of WandaVision, he just flew off and we haven't heard about him since then. Paul Bettany tried to say that Visionquest picks up about a year after that, but I think he might have been a little bit confused because that conflicts with the timeline of Agatha All Along that Marvel has previously released in the way that ends with Billy looking for the adult version of Tommy. As they say, Visionquest is meant to be the third part in the WandaVision trilogy, so logically it should take place a little bit like right after Agatha All Along. Probably the biggest surprise was a Marvel Phase 2 and Marvel Phase 3 retcon, pretty big retcon. Vision had been going around collecting the AI consciousnesses of all of Iron Man's different AIs from the different movies, and they've all been living inside his head since then. So we're talking about White Vision now, because technically White Vision is the original version of Vision. And part of the series is him trying to reconcile all of his own memories, consciousness that he got back from Hex Vision, like it was unlocked inside of him, while also dealing with all these other personalities living inside his head in their relationship with each other. One of the other biggest things about the series is that Vision will be perceiving all these different AI consciousness in his head, interacting with them as if they are humanoid. So physical flesh and blood bodies, people in a surreal 1960s sitcom-style mansion, like mid-century modern. Think Brady Bunch home or like a bigger version of their house from the 1960s episode of Wandavision. Given those super weird 1960s tropes, it really does sound like Visionquest is going to be a true successor to WandaVision in the same type of style, with some things that they did during Star Trek Picard, some filmmaking techniques for the way they visualize a lot of this.
You pick up Vision's story, it's about a year or so later, and White Vision, you'll remember, was given all of Red Vision's memories, including the memories from within the hex, and he is struggling to feel them, to connect with the memories. I think he understands them intellectually, but he's wanting to feel those memories, and that is sort of part of the journey of the show.
If you don't know who Terry Matalas is, he did 12 Monkeys, but more recently he did Star Trek Picard Season 3, which is probably the best season of the series. At the very end of that series, Picard went inside his son's mind space when he had been consumed by Borg technology and the Borg Queen was trying to influence him. So Picard spoke with him, father to son, but the way they visualize it is as if they were standing in a room together speaking to one another. On Visionquest, it'll be in this massive sitcom-looking vibe in a 1960s-looking sitcom mansion with the characters interacting with each other. Terry Matalas also said that all the episodes are meant to be different from each other, each one of their own type of movie, so it sounds like it will get super meta in the way that all the different WandaVision episodes were super meta in different tropes and design references for each episode. They were not clear about whether or not Billy was going to actually cameo on the series, but Rory Malika is going to play Tommy, who co-starred with Joe Locke, who plays Billy, on the Clarkston TV show. They posted a funny video together joking about their on-screen romance that they had before the MCU, and now they're brothers inside the MCU. James Spader, probably the other big get here, coming back as a version of Ultron, but mostly visualized in human form. I think they're portraying him as more of the father figure that Vision is trying to reconcile with, like the angry father who he felt like was a bad father. Speaking of which, James Darcy is coming back as Jarvis in his human form. Previously, he played young Jarvis during the Agent Carter series. He came back during Avengers Doomsday during the 1970s as a slightly older version of the character, so you've seen him before.
Jarvis?
Probably another big surprise is that Jocasta is going to be played by Tiana Miller. You remember her as one of the other alternate AIs that Tony Stark was picking through that he had created for Avengers Age of Ultron. Like he picked Friday instead of Jocasta. In Marvel Comics, Jocasta was created to be the Bride of Ultron based on the brain patterns of Janet Van Dyne. We will see what they do with her during the events of this series, the way they personify her in the MCU, just because we haven't done a whole lot with the character since Avengers Age of Ultron, mostly just an Easter egg in the background up to this point. Because of the Terry Matalas connection in Star Trek Picard, Orla Brady from that show will be playing the human form of Friday. They're also going to have the human forms of Edith, Dummy, and the U robot from Iron Man 2. So all different Iron Man AI consciousnesses just personified in human form inside Vision's head the way he perceives them and interacts with them. While they have these storylines going on, like the return of adult Tommy, big idea, one of Vision's children, also Vision reconciling all of his own memories and relationships with his other Tony Stark AIs that he's lived with all these years. One of the big antagonist villain subplots is Todd Stashwick, who's playing Paladin from the comics, who's an assassin hired to acquire White Vision so that his technology can be used by people paying for villains basically that want to get their hands on Vision. Reportedly, Madripoor is going to play a big part of that, so maybe they'll use some of the Sharon Carter power broker plot and pick up with that. Just the idea that villains that would want to get their hands on Vision would go through Madripoor, like that's where a lot of those deals get made. They kind of got into this with S.W.O.R.D. during the WandaVision series. Vision himself, even without the fact that he's one of the most advanced AI consciousnesses and powerful beings in the MCU, just the vibranium that makes up his body is worth billions of dollars. You could literally use that for a number of different types of weapons or systems. So there's a lot of people out there that would want to control Vision and just want Vision's technology for themselves. They haven't really said much about damage control. They would also want him to. That would normally be their job because they're a department of the United States government. Since he's so powerful, technically he's property of Stark Industries, an American company. Wouldn't they want him back too? Pepper Potts is still running Stark Industries. Why aren't they trying to get Vision back as well? There were a couple conversations that Tony Stark had with Banner about Vision and how he was evolving over time. And basically, the idea was that Iron Man was just kind of letting Vision be his own person and do his own thing, just run around on the planet, do whatever he wanted to do. Technically, though, Stark Industries does own White Vision. Probably one of the other big surprises is that Farah Tahir is returning as Raza from the first Iron Man movie. If you remember, he was the leader of that cell of the Ten Rings organization. So remember, the Shang-Chi movie canonized Wenwu as the true Mandarin, the head of the Ten Rings, so there was a lot of questions about the Ten Rings during the first Iron Man movie. Were they connected to Wenwu, or were they just a splinter cell? The way that they talk about after the fact is that they were more of a splinter cell doing their own thing. So it wasn't so much that Wenwu was trying to exert his influence over Tony Stark during the first Iron Man movie, it was just that particular cell, Raza in his group, wanting to do something with Tony Stark. My assumption is that now that Shang-Chi's sister has taken over command of the Ten Rings from their father, she's doing her own thing with the organization, so whatever Raza is doing, it's completely separate from the Ten Rings now. Now I know the follow-up question is, will there be some kind of Avengers Doomsday post-credit scene in the finale if the final episode comes out right before Doomsday? Because none of the Avengers Doomsday trailers so far are like the Chair Watch video or the Russos have indicated whether or not any of these Wandavision characters like Scarlet Witch, Vision, Billy, Tommy will actually show up. But there was some leaked concept art that featured the Young Avengers with Star-Lord and Dupe from the X-Men, but that's probably from an earlier Avengers 5 script before the Russos were hired to come back and completely rewrote both Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. So I wouldn't take all the concept art that leaked out as a hard and fast proof of what's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see some reference to some of those characters during Doomsday. Like, I think we're supposed to see Elizabeth Olsen or a version of Scarlet Witch in a different way on this X-Men planet that we go to, where all the X-Men characters come from, but it's not going to be the main version of Scarlet Witch like you're expecting to come back. The Russos have also said nothing of Billy and Tommy or the Young Avengers characters. There might be a couple in the background, but I wouldn't be surprised if they save a lot of that kind of stuff for Avengers Secret Wars, just because so much is already happening in Avengers Doomsday. Based on what Paul Bettany and Terry Matalas have talked about, though, for the most part, there is going to be a ton of Avengers Doomsday stuff happening during the series. They're just going to be doing their own thing, and then there might be like a little tag scene connecting to the beginning of Avengers Doomsday at the end, but like post-credit scene type of material. And because it's meant to be the third part in a WandaVision trilogy, it'll probably be the return of Billy and Tommy, like they find each other, and then they find their father, Vision. It'll be time to find their mother after that. So there'll probably be more Scarlet Witch bending type of teaser post-credit scene, like, well, now it's time to go find out what happened to our mother. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and if you spotted any Easter eggs or references that I didn't talk about during the video, just write them below in the comments, or if you have any questions about what's going on during the trailer footage. Hopefully Marvel will drop an official shiny HD version of this sometime relatively soon. We'll probably get more Avengers Doomsday footage as we get closer to Spider-Man Brand New Day coming out too. So whatever they wind up releasing or whatever leaks out, of course I will do all the videos for it. So be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that. I just did a much bigger video for that Punisher special presentation. Click here for that, and click here for all my brand new Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.